It's time now for Better Health. I'm joined here with Asante's health expert, Beth Coker. Beth, today we are talking about the dangers of too much salt.
A diet high in salt can really increase your risk of high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. So decreasing your salt intake can really have an impact on your overall health. Now, the average American consumes twice the amount of daily recommended salt intake. It's recommended for us to eat 2,200 milligrams of salt per day. Most Americans eat about 4,000 milligrams of salt in their diet per day. So we have to become label readers and read on the labels of food how much sodium content is in the food that we are ingesting, because we'll see health problems as a result of prepackaged foods, processed foods, fast foods, and eating out in restaurants all the time. These people ingest way too much salt in their diet.
So is checking the labels the only way to start limiting our salt intake, or what are the ways that we can do that?
Cooking at home is one of the biggies, and you don't need to pass the salt shaker at the dinner table or salt your food when preparing it. Use herbs and spices to savor the food and really help reduce that salt intake. Your taste buds will adjust to that lower salt intake. The other thing is buy fresh foods. Salt occurs naturally in some foods, but anything that is processed or prepackaged is going to be very high in sodium content. Nutrition companies are now labeling low sodium foods, but even if you buy the canned vegetables that are marked low sodium, we encourage our patients to rinse those off and get rid of any sodium content in the food and reduce things like lunch meats, high salty snacks, chips, pretzels, that kind of thing. Hidden dangers of way too much salt.
Good stuff to know. So how can we tell, is there any physical ways we can see that we are eating too much salt?
Our body is going to respond to a high salt intake by holding on to water. Our cells just kind of grab onto that water in our side of our body, and we'll feel a bloating sensation, swelling in our ankles, our hands. We'll feel it in our face. The other thing that we'll notice is that people will put on 2 to 3 pounds in a 2-day period. And when our patients come into the hospital and they put on 2 to 3 pounds or 4 pounds over maybe 4 days, first we ask them, have you been eating out more than normal? And what has your salt intake been? So watch the scale weight. If it increases too quickly over a short amount of time, your salt intake is too high. Check your ankles for swelling, fingers and face. Then you need to cut down on the salt intake and eat a plant-based diet.
Yeah, and there is a misconception that there's a difference between table salt and sea salt, right?
Both sea salt and table salt contain 40% of sodium. So there's not one health benefit over the other to use sea salt. Dietitians just like to use that in certain recipes because it's a larger granule.
So just skip the salt overall.
Don't pass the salt.
Okay, good stuff. We'll be right back.